America's workforce. Its strength is our nation's success. Join I Build America podcast as we explore innovative solutions and inspiring stories from leaders and workers shaping America. Discover actionable insights to build a motivated workforce.
I Build America.
Hello, my name is Lorraine Lane, and I'm the host with I Build America podcast, where we highlight the people, places, and organizations that support workforce development to build a stronger workforce in the United States. Today, I have the privilege of interviewing Michael D. Smith, President and CEO of Eckerd Connects. Hello, Michael.
Hello.
How are you?
I am doing well. How are you?
Welcome to the podcast.
It's wonderful to be here.
Nice to have you here. You have an extensive background in working in nonprofits. AmeriCorps,
Yes.
now Eckerd,
Yes.
and then the Obama's Foundation,
Yes.
My Brother's Keeper
Uh-huh.
Alliance. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, it's been an amazing journey. I've been fortunate to build out an entire career that's in the social sector. I grew up in an underserved community in Western Massachusetts. My parents were both 16 years old when I was born.
Wow.
We were poor. We didn't have a whole lot of money, but we had an amazing community. The only reason I am here today, other than a whole lot of grace, is because my mama sent me to my Boys and Girls Club down the street, which became a second home where I got mentors and coaches. And I knew from an early age I wanted to be like those folks. And then when I realized that this was a profession, I was like, I want to follow in their footsteps. And so I've been able to build this career that has been all about honoring them, the doors that they open for me and my family and so many of my peers, but also figuring out what can we do to make pathways easier for underserved kids and communities.
You said a lot there. Western Mass.
Yes.
So I went to college in Mass.
Did you
in
really?
Worcester.
Worcester.
Not everybody knows how to say that beautiful city
It's
word.
not Worcester.
No, it is not. I learned it early on.
Yes.
And then you talked about communities.
Yes.
It takes a village. I know we say that all the time, but that is such a true statement when dealing and working with underprivileged youth,
Yes.
underprivileged communities. So how did you transition into Eckerd's community? How did that happen?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I mean, there has been a simple through line in my career. I started, my first job was in the Boys and Girls Club that raised me.
All right.
I actually ran the coat room when I was 12 years old.
Nice.
They paid me $2 an hour.
Did everybody get their coat back?
They got their coats back.
Well,
I
you
had
did
a
a good
system to check them in. I kept it clean. And so, but at a young age, you give a kid something to do because it had to keep me busy. Eventually, those were my first volunteer experiences, and then my first real jobs. I became assistant camp director. I did communications for them. Then I went into digital divide work, and then from digital divide work, I ended up working in philanthropy on a range of issues, from literally peace in the Middle East, working during the Bush administration, to new technologies and how that would change philanthropy, to trying to revive high growth entrepreneurship after the Great Recession. And so, there's been this through line from my career. I made a jump into government, but even in government, whether it was the Social Innovation Fund or the Obama White House doing My Brother's Keeper or the Obama Foundation, it was still all that idea. How do we create those pathways to opportunity? And I learned about Eckerd. After I had left AmeriCorps, I was a political appointee. I worked for President Biden. And so when that administration was over, I was beginning to think of what was next. And a group came to me and said, "Hey, have you ever heard of Eckerd Connects?" And I started learning and meeting with their team, and I fell in love with the work that we do. We don't care where you are. We don't care what zip code you're born in. We don't care if you're rural or urban. We're going to be there. We're going to walk alongside you. We're going to make life a little easier. And more importantly than that, we're not just going to give you hugs and cuddles and high fives. We're going to get you skills, credentials, and training and move you into a job, not just a job, but a job with a family sustaining wage.
Man, that's exciting. I'm excited with the work you do. And the passion that you have for it just really comes out when you speak. It's in your eyes, it's in your tone. When I first heard of Eckerd Connect, I was thinking, Eckerd, they operate pharmacies.
Yes.
We had one downtown Brunswick, Georgia, little Eckerd's pharmacy. So I was like, that's not the same Eckerd.
It's the same
And
Eckerd.
then I realized, this is a family that's had a long history of philanthropy. And so to hear you say, in other words, we're not stopping until the job is done. You don't have a lot of organizations that have that passion for workforce and making those connections with people. You told me about the journey. So let me ask you this. How do we prepare our underserved youth in workforce development? How do we make sure that those collaborations that need to take place between the community, between the agency, and between our schools stay vibrant and ready to help?
Well, look, I think the first thing you have to do is approach this with an asset-based lens.
Okay.
We're not showing up in communities doing something to a community. We're not trying to fix a community. I believe deeply, and at Eckerd, we believe that talent is distributed evenly by a great and mighty God, but opportunity is not.
Right.
So when I go into a community and I see a young person in an underfunded school, a neighborhood that does not have the resources that I need, I still see that spark in that young person's eye. I still see that hope. I see that talent. I see that creativity. I see that grit. And so I want to start there, and I want to make sure, hold a mirror up to them to make sure that they see all of that possibility, to make sure they see their potential, and then help to bring them up a level, help them to see what's possible, to begin to write a roadmap to what success could be. Like, oh, you love music? This is what you could do with music. You're really good at organizing. Oh, you help take care of your 3 little brothers and sisters.
That's a skill set.
That is a skill set that I want to hire you because you have grit in a way that some kid that grew up pampered on the Upper East Side may have never had to develop. And so I want to help you see your possibility. I want to help you really build out that talent. I want to get you a measurable skill, and then get you on a path to success.
I love it. I used to say, and sometimes I say this still to the students that I work with, let me be your eyes until you can see. Because I see so much in the students that I work with in Job Corps. And I say to people all the time, I'll take those kids in a foxhole with me any day. Any day. Yes. Because their ability to adapt, the flexibility, is beyond any experience that I have had or seen. Yeah. And so I think that at times we I don't want to say misengage. We at times don't see all the strengths that those students have because our lens, we're looking through the lens of what success looks like from a societal point of view. Yeah. So Eckerd has his hands on a lot of things.
We do. We're busy.
I'm always just amazed when I know the workforce piece that you have, Job Corps piece that you have. What else is Eckerd's doing out there? Those are just 2 that I'm fully aware of.
So Eckerd Connects is almost 60 years old. We were founded by Jack Eckerd, the founder of Eckerd Pharmacies, back in 1968. In 1968, if you would have known Eckerd, you would have known wilderness camps. That was the model that he was really excited about. He would have said we could take troubled youth and we could turn them around. Okay. We're going to bring them out to camp. We're going to break them down to build them up. We're going to teach them how to row down a river. We're going to sit them around a fire and talk about their feelings. We're going to teach them some skills. And so that was the real first chapter for Eckerd. Our second chapter was going deeper in communities when cities and states start saying, oh, Eckerd, you're really good at this. How about foster care? How about juvenile justice? How about early childhood? And so we went deep in community doing that work. And for the past 10 years or so, we've moved from camps to communities to careers. And we've been all about career pathways because we want to make sure, as I said earlier, we don't just end in love and hug and support, but we make sure that they move into this permanence and economic permanence, a sustainability, so that they can take care of themselves. And what also happens is changing the game for the whole generations, their whole families. Yes. So today, Eckerd Connects, we're in about 20 states, Washington, D.C. We do our work through three main program areas. One is workforce development, which is what we are here to celebrate and get better at here at NAUDIP. We also run Job Corps centers. So we are the only nonprofit operator of Job Corps campuses across the country. Today, we operate or partner to operate 12 Job Corps campuses, brilliant campuses of innovation that are just remarkable across this country. And we still have a hold in children and family services. So we do some foster care programming. We do wraparound services, which I love. We still do some early childhood work. And so we talk about this idea of the whole child. And sometimes someone needs an intervention a little earlier. Someone needs an intervention a little later. And so more and more what I'm excited about with Eckerd is you can come to us through multiple doors, and then you're going to be able to move through a continuum across our programming.
Well, speaking of that, it's a perfect segue into my next question. Because you are part of workforce development and you have Job Corps centers, so I imagine your community employer reach is wide.
Yes.
With that, how are you going to be innovative with apprenticeship programs and begin to see that work on your centers or in your workforce programs?
So one of our adages at Eckerd is we fall in love with the problem, not the solution. Solutions come and go. Innovations happen. I had a BlackBerry. They had to pry it out of my hands.
I had a BlackBerry. I refused.
I loved my BlackBerry, but I'm glad someone took it away from me because I had a MySpace page, right? Like, so solutions are gonna come and go, but we gotta fall in love with the challenge. Why are there so many blocks that exist for so many kids and families based on their zip code and where they're born in the United States of America? So we are going all in. We're all in on thinking about what's going to happen with AI. We're all in thinking about the trades. This, when I was in the Obama administration, we were really focused on cradle to college. College. And that's important. But, not everyone's going to college. And more this generation is saying, what's the return on investment?
Absolutely.
And so we're going all in on trades and vocations. And so we're looking at that. We're looking at registered apprenticeships. We just provided comments for the new workforce Pell that the Trump administration is moving because we think those are great dollars to help move folks into Pell. And so we are constantly looking around the corner. We are looking ahead. What is coming? I remember when I started my career doing Digital Divide, which is probably the first time I really looked at workforce. Back then, Digital Divide was we're going to give you a desktop computer.
I remember that.
And an AOL account.
And the little man ran across the street.
Exactly. And so we were doing a lot of job centers where we were teaching teenagers about resume writing. And that seemed to be the end. Like, you're going to write a resume and everything's going to be all right.
Everything's going to work fine.
And if we're going to print it, it's going to be beautiful. Nice
stock paper. Yes. Ivory.
Exactly. With the filaments in it.
Yeah.
And so that was going to be the end. And so we are constantly looking down the road, what is changing? And also, I think what is important for anyone that is doing workforce now, working in partnership with the community to understand what are the job needs there today, and maybe more importantly, what are the job needs going to be 5-10 years from now?
I swear you're looking at my cards. Collaboration.
Yes.
Communities. It's important that as we are doing this work, that we're not just doing with our clients, but we're reaching out to our communities to make sure that we're moving in the direction that the community wants to move in the direction. I was speaking to someone earlier, and we were talking about the training. We do all this training, or young people go to college, they go away, and then they don't come back to their communities. And what programs do we put in place, to help communities stay whole?
That's right.
When they're newly found, educated, certified young adult decides this was great learning, but now I'm going to move to Texas.
Or in my case, Washington, D.C.
Yeah, shame.
Sorry, Springfield, Massachusetts. I give back. I go home all the time. Are you? Did they call you? Are they trying to make me feel bad?
No. Because I didn't go back.
I'm going home this summer.
I'm going home Thursday, but I didn't go back to Brunswick, Georgia.
Yeah.
So what do we put in place for that? What's some of the solution to keep some of our talent as in our local workforce hubs in our local communities? How do we build that up?
I think that goes back to this idea of partnering with employers, right? And this is work I did when I was running the Social Innovation Fund. We had a partnership with National Fund for Workforce Solutions and Jobs for the Future. And what we were really looking at there is sitting down with the employers, understanding what are the assets in the communities, what do we uniquely have here, and what are the needs going to be? And then I think the other challenge that we're waiting way too late. So what I love about Eckerd Connects is we have a special emphasis around opportunity youth. We love that 16 to 24 age range. And so we have our next generation jobs programs. Our workforce centers have programs just for young people so that we can develop that spark a little earlier on. I think so often we wait for a kid to graduate from high school, maybe even, get some kids who are going to college before we want them to start thinking. So we're doing on-the-job experiences early on. We think about internships. And so early experiences, but also making sure that we are mapping so that those young people could say, you know what? This is how much money you can make if you stay here in your hometown. Not only, and this isn't just a starting job. If you start here, you could go here, here, or here. One of the things we see on our Job Corps campuses, some people might come because they want to be in security. Right. And then once they get in security, they're like, oh, this pharmacy tech thing is really interesting. I'm actually going to stay here and do pharmacy tech. And I'm watching my friend do welding. I'm a better welder than they are. How much do underwater welders make? How much? I'm going to do that. And so you have to, have the jobs that are going to make a difference for them, but also expose them to them and give them that hands-on experience to try and practice.
I always have to give my grandmothers credit. One of the things, these girls, they were real serious about giving me a menu. They used to call it a menu of options in life. So whether I was the 5-year-old playing a violin when I didn't want to do it, they wanted me to have that exposure. And so you just said that, use that word, exposure. And I think the more we provide that for our clients and our students, the better they are.
You're right. Your grandmothers were ahead of their time.
Oh, they were.
Because I didn't get very many menus.
It
was go here, or do this.
No, those girls.
Did you have something to say? I don't think so.
Well, I didn't get to say a lot about whether or not I want to choose what was on the menu, but they had a menu. I have a couple more questions for you. What does a modern national workforce ecosystem look like for you?
A modern national workforce ecosystem, it looks like collective impact.
Okay.
So we've been using this word for a long time now.
Yes.
But there are a few things that I think are relevant to the work that we're doing. One is the idea of a common goal. There are often these perverse incentives that exist in the space that we do to create competition when there should be collaboration.
Agreed.
And I started my career in philanthropy. Philanthropy talks about collaboration, but so often they create this Hunger Games where people are competing for these scarce resources, and you're afraid to partner with somebody because
they might
they're going to take your stuff.
Yes.
But there's actually more than enough to go around. So what I love about collective impact is it says, let's come together at a table and not just think about what I do well, but think about a collective goal together. What do we need the employment rate to be? What do we need the unemployment rate to? How far down do we need? How many people do we need in the shipping industry in this area, et cetera? Right. So one is a common collective goal. The other thing is making sure everyone is at the table, looking around and saying, who is not on the bus? The employers are here. Are all the employers here? The nonprofit employers, the for-profit employers? Is academia here? Is government here? All levels of government. I tell you, I spent a lot of time traveling this country. I hit all 50 states last year. I've been to many, many community meetings, testified, and everywhere I go, someone pulls me aside. Is like, such and such isn't here because somebody is upset with this person. Who's not at the table because we need everyone to be there. The other thing is really then looking at the data. You set the goal, but then are you going back and looking at the data and making course corrections along the way? Sometimes I feel like we say we are going due north. We don't care if the iceberg is there.
Or not.
We said north, and
we
we're
are
going north.
Right.
We all fell out in the water, right? So, all right, the winds have changed. The currents have changed. We're going to need to tilt a little bit this direction. So that idea of a collective goal, making sure everybody is at the table, looking at the data so you can make course corrections along the way. I think those are some of the most important things that we have to do. And then I'd go back to what I said before. Don't get so excited about the solution because things are going to, look at how much
it changes.
We were a year, 2 years ago, everything was coding. Coding was going to save our kids.
Absolutely.
Because I could teach you coding in the summer and you're going to get $100,000 a year job.
Everybody was coding. I was thinking about
right. Now AI is coding everything, right? So don't get so excited about that. That will change. Be willing to fail forward, to move on and move to the next thing.
All right, now you got the rapid fun questions.
Okay.
You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Coffee or tea in the morning?
Tea. I don't drink caffeine. Decaf tea all the time.
Nice. Late night or early morning riser?
Late night.
Okay.
I wish I wasn't.
Yeah.
Whenever I wake up early and I'm out and the birds are chirping, I'm like, this is nice. But I'm a late night person.
One job you've had that people would be surprised that you worked?
I did a lot of cashiering at grocery stores.
Really?
Big Y in Springfield, Massachusetts, and Safeway during a summer job in Washington, D.C.
Okay. All right. Music that's in your playlist.
I'm a gospel music kid.
Well, give me somebody.
I'm a Pentecostal boy. Give me a little CeCe Winans. Give me 90s. Give me John P. Key. Give me Kirk Franklin.
Nice.
Give me Fred Hammond.
I knew you were going to. I could tell you're a Fred Hammond guy.
Yeah.
All right. This has been a pleasure. And
My pleasure.
I
have enjoyed our
appreciate
conversation.
you taking the time for myself and our viewers and listeners.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you for listening to the I Build America podcast. Please subscribe, share, and comment, and be sure to join us next time for more insights and inspiring conversations on building a powerful American workforce. I Build America, building workforce success one podcast at a time.
I build America.